Hello and welcome to the 3-day workshop. I am Senior Ines, or in this case, I'm your P.I.M.P. Ines. P.I.M.P. stands for Personal Improvement and Motivation Partner. And basically, I'm an accountability partner on steroids. But with this 3-day workshop, we are going to introduce the 16-week challenge that will transform your life so that you can become the best next version of yourself. To accompany this course, we have my book, The Audacious Mentality Needed to Get My Shit Together. I bleep it out frequently, but sometimes you gotta say it with the meaning it has, because I had to get my shit together in order to be able to help other people, especially young ladies between the ages of 18 and 25, get their lives together too. So this book is divided into two parts, and I will get into that a little bit more. This workshop is being recorded so that it can be reviewed at your leisure so that you can go back and catch anything you missed, or you can watch it alongside reading the book. So let's go ahead and get started with the presentation for today. Okay, so the name of my book, as I stated, is The Audacious Mentality Needed to Get My Shit Together. And this 3-day workshop is going to transform your life, and it's going to help you over the course of the next 16 weeks become the best next version of yourself, as I've already stated. I wanted to go ahead and give um, some information about each chapter that might not be included. And then after, so today is day one. Day one, we're going over what's in each of the chapters. And then tomorrow, day two, we have a different workshop, well, a different aspect of this workshop that is going to help you develop your own personal plan. And then our day three is not going to be as a group. Our day three is when I personally work with the people who are in my pod for me being their pimp, and your pimp will be in contact with you if you are not like specifically in my pod. So we're going to go ahead and move forward by discussing who I am. Okay, so what qualifies me to be your pimp, your personal improvement and motivation partner? Well, first of all, you'll read a lot about me in my book. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, the second half of the book is where I get naked. I tell you everything about me. Well, not everything, but almost. And you get to know too much about my experience because I had to share it because I didn't know exactly who it would be helping. So I had to share the honest part of me because I know the trajectory of my life is going to take me up several levels. And before I get to that place, if there are people who I can help along the way who have similar experiences, I want to make sure that I'm being as honest as possible about specific experiences. So, as your pimp, I help you become the gold digger you are meant to be by continuously becoming the best next version of yourself as you enjoy the journey while living in the moment. So, one thing I know about me is I began my 5-year planning. I'm really big on making a 5-year plan and sticking to it as much as possible, and then at least getting at least about 70% of it completed because nothing ever goes exactly according to plan. So you can also plan for error. And in that case, you can say, all right, well, in 5 years, I plan on being married, or in 5 years, I plan on having 2 kids. In 5 years, I plan on having whatever it is. But at the beginning of that 5 years, you need to have a strategy, a plan, or something for not only each year, but each month, each day. You need to have a strategy that will help you consistently make progress towards those 5 years, 5-year goals. And I'm saying this from experience. I just finished in November, I finished my third 5-year plan. So that puts me at 15 years of doing this. And I mean, if you do something for 15 years, I think you might be able to say you can do it well, because a lot of people who can't do something well quit pretty early on. So after 15 years, I can say, yeah, I can be your pimp. I'm totally qualified to be your pimp because not only do I have my experiences, but my other clients have shared their experiences. And my ultimate goal is for you to be on track for your life. Like I'm coming up on turning 30 in the next couple years, and I was like, wow, minus this one thing, everything else in my life is specifically on track because I'm excited every day. So let's go ahead and go forward. So the book for this workshop, as I showed you, is The Audacious Mentality Needed to Get My Shit Together. Is available paperback and electronically on Amazon. And the first half is about time and mind management. And the second half is about how I overcame trauma to become the best next version of myself. I use this method consistently so that I can be the best next version of myself at all times. So the boot camp, as I said, is 16 weeks. So the 16 weeks is 16 times 7, because there's 7 days in a week, obviously, is 112 days. So I'm not going to expect you to be perfect every single day, but I'm going to say do your best every day. And some days you're just not going to feel like doing it. Some days this standard that you're holding yourself to is too high. I hold myself to a very high standard every day. And some days I don't reach it, but I still have to love myself even on those days when I can't reach that goal for those goals for that day. So, out of the 112 days, you have 12 days of what do they call them? They call them cheat days. Yes. So out of this 112 days, you have 12 cheat days. And in order for you to go to the next level, you have to complete 100 days of your journey. And who is going to make sure you complete it? You are. Because if you paid for this course, you obviously want to become a better version of yourself. I'm not saying you're not great now, but I'm saying there's always something for each one of us to do in order to continue growing. So, and continue growing, you have to do something that you enjoy. So the first part of it is committing to it. So commit to this 112 days, this 16-week program. Commit to at least 100 days. And if you commit to it 3 times, so if you go through this process, this framework 3 times, you can apply to become a pimp so that you can help other people become the best version of themselves. So a pimp, they call a lot of people life coaches. I'm not going to say I'm a life coach because being a life coach implies that I figured everything out. I have not, but I am a great accountability partner because I get shit done. I am hyper productive. I believe that there is enough time in a day in order to get everything that needs to be done completed. And if there is not enough time in the day, then you've come to the right place because this book will make sure, not make sure, this book will help you make sure you're doing what you can to make the most of each of your days. So, in this course, you will have an accountability partner. It may be me, it may be someone else. But as your accountability partner, aka your pimp, I'm telling you now, it's time to get off your ass and become the next best version of you, the best next version of yourself. So, chapter one. Chapter one is talking about our soul. So, talking about a lot of people call it religion, but this is beyond religion. This is about relationship with God. This is about relationship with Source. This is about more than relationship with religion. This is your spiritual relationship with God, with Source, with Allah, whatever you call it. The
No,
concept.
Avery.
This is about you becoming the best next version of yourself by connecting to your creator, the creator of the universe. This is it's your commitment to not the person, the entity that created you and created the world around us that we share, that a lot of people take advantage of. And I'm grateful I'm still alive, even though there were times I tried to take me out and times the enemy tried to take me out. So um, I grew up in a Christian church, and we use the word the devil to talk about the enemy, though, or the forces that are conspiring against us to prevent us from becoming all we were created to be. And so, in this area of my life, all of these chapters are areas of focus of our lives. So, in this area of focus, my soul, I had to develop my own relationship with God in this process because, yes, my mom is a preacher, my grandparents, my great grandparents were preachers, and it's it's a lot of pressure on me as a PK to be perfect. But now that I'm an adult, I don't have to subscribe to those beliefs of what I should be from other people. And it took me 20 something years to figure that out. It took me going through a divorce to figure that out. It took me going through life to figure that out. Because at the end of the day, when my family was not talking to me, not picking up the phone, not calling me, not like when they were ignoring me because I was going through the worst part of my life, as I well, like at that time it was the worst part. When I was going through that era of my life, I just I was alone. And then one day I was working at, I'm not going to say where, but I was working at this place and I had to walk in the rain to get home because my ex husband stole my car. And then he totaled it and took all the insurance money. So I was working at this place and I had to get to work because I still had bills. They didn't care, like my bills don't care if I'm going through stuff, if I'm depressed or if whatever. My bills don't care if it's my birthday and I'm trying to have fun. So I had to go to work. And in going to work, one day it was just too much. I was carrying the weight of the depression and the schoolwork and the bills and all of that. And you know how the Bible says, well, not all of us know what the Bible says, but the Bible says, cast your cares on the Lord, and the Lord will give us his yoke. And so it was one day I had to leave work to get to school on time. So before I go to school, I would take a shower in order to walk to school. I know it sounds like like come from being dirty, take a shower and to get dirty again. But it's whatever. I had to do what I had to do. I wasn't going to go to class stinking. But one day I was walking in the rain, and on my way home, I just had a mental breakdown. I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I just said, God, I give up. I Whatever I'm doing is not working, and I'm trying, but everything I'm trying is failing. So that's when my real journey with developing a relationship with God has officially begun. And I'm just I'm at a stage in my life now that I have to prioritize my relationship with God. So that's why it's number one in the book. That's why it's the first chapter, because prioritizing my relationship with God is more important than anything else. Because without God for me, there's nothing. Like without God for me, there's chaos. So if you are or have experienced a chaotic life, trauma, or anything else, I mean, I can say try Jesus, it works. Um, so going into the next section, I want to say beforehand, I start each day with prayer, and I start each day spending time with the Lord. And in the book, I talk about the different ways I do this. So, one of the ways is I pray daily, often, all day. Honestly, I'm continuously in prayer. Some days I have to say, "Excuse me, God, I'm gonna pause this phone call because the prayer is a phone call to the Lord. I'm gonna pause this phone call." And then some days I'm like, when I pause the phone call, I go do something I know I'm not supposed to do. But then I come back and I pray about it. And then I like it. requires me to be self-aware because it's like, all right, I know I shouldn't be eating this specific item, but it's looking at me. Like one, like recently, there was this snack cake and it was a box of them, and I ate the whole box except for the last pack, and I didn't share them with anyone. I just ate them all, and I was just like beating myself up. And then in beating myself up, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be strong. And so I took that last snack pack and I put it where I could see it every day. And every day I walked past it, I was like, okay, this is God working on my discipline. So it's me actively stretching that discipline muscle, and we'll get more into that for our day 2 of the workshop. But I definitely wanted to say that like I I value my relationship with God more than anything else because I wouldn't be here without it. God sends the right people at the right time, even if it's just a friend, even if it's a phone call or a smile from a stranger. So going into the chapter 2, I um this one was about mind, and it was where I started talking about how I started with a scarcity mindset, and then I have been actively working to build to a abundant mindset. So you have people on the internet all the time, like Ash Cash, talking about abundance is my birthright. Well, I didn't know that was my birthright. So having to rewire my brain after 20 something years of experiences to say that there is no lack in what I need. There's no lack. Like I am abundant because God is the God of abundance. And so even scripture tells us this. I'm not a preacher, so I'm not going to go ahead and go into all of that and try to quote it and misquote it. No, I'm going to say what I do for me is I have to work on my mind daily. And so one of the things I do is affirmations. And I know a lot of people say, do affirmations every day, affirmations, whatever. It works. I mean, because if you constantly tell yourself you're ugly, then you're going to feel ugly. I mean, I'm saying this from experience. I felt ugly for 20 something years. And so if you constantly tell yourself you are not going to get any more money or you're broke or whatever, you're going to stay in that state of mind and that state in life. So I started telling myself, oh, dang, I'm a millionaire. Oh, dang, I'm on my way to be a billionaire. Like none of my accounts match what I'm talking about, but I know that there is more for me. And you got to keep saying it until you know that there is more for you and whatever it is that you're trying to change. So when I dealt with my addiction to self medicating, I truly learned how to meditate. So in managing my mind, I had to begin meditating. So I told you how I wake up early to pray and spend time with God. And one of those things is I'm learning how to be a better listener in my relationships, but definitely in my relationship with God. And that is the practice of meditating. And so, in my addiction to self medicating, I will address that as I was addicted to distractions. So, you know, those people who are procrastinators, and I say this in the book, I put the pro in procrastination. Like, oh my gosh, give me a deadline and I'll be done right before it. But now I'm just working on how do I give myself that kind of desire to work on something before the deadline arrives. And that's still a journey for me because I like the pressure of that. It's the fourth quarter, it's the last 10 seconds of the game, and I got to take my shot. So I have to work on that kind of mindset. But at the same time, I'm having to work on um, making my mind know that I'm never going to be broke again. Like I said that the other day, and I was like, dang, I really mean that. I'm never going to be broke again. Like, because like being broke is a mindset. And yeah, my bank accounts might look like what a broke person's bank accounts look like, but my mindset does not because I know there are ways out of this. So I am tying in my soul, as they say, soul, mind, and body. So the third chapter is about the body. So once I work on my soul, my mind, and my body, that's the strong foundation I need in order to successfully complete every everything else in my life. All of my goals will be completed according to God's riches and glory as long as I put in my work too. So step 3 was taking care of my body. When I was depressed, I gained much weight and I was lethargic. And when I tell you I was lethargic, I didn't want to get out the bed. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to go to class, but I had to. And that was the only thing that got me out of the bed was I had to get out of bed. But when I was at home paying for an overpriced apartment, I was eating, and that's something to be thankful for anyway, because to be able to eat and have food and have an abundance of food is a blessing, and I didn't see it as such then. I just was like, I'm eating because I gotta eat. And I worked at a fast food restaurant. Actually, at that time I worked at three jobs, and two of them were two fast food restaurants. And so I had access to free food all day because, I mean, if you work in fast food, you know how. But that food was not feeding the positive part of me. It wasn't life foods, as they're saying on Instagram and whatever. It wasn't healthy foods. Like, yeah, I'll have a salad every now and then, but I was craving things that were in alignment with my mindset. I was craving things that are considered to be low vibrational. I was craving things that were going to make me more tired and like not want to get up. So when I changed what it was that I was consuming, my mindset also being changed at the same time, and my relationship with God started being changed at the same time, it worked out. So now that I am in this part of my life, I'm like, oh, I know what triggers me into a downward spiral. Like those snack cakes. When I was going through something, I don't know why I turned to those snack cakes for comfort when I should have turned to God instead. So then I started beating myself up. And then I was like, well, I already messed up. And then I started spiraling. And so instead of spiraling, I came up with a plan. Again, I always come up with a plan. Do I execute on every single plan? No, not on every single plan, but I get something done on every single plan. And so, in taking care of my body, I decided to cut out specific things, and I prayed on these. Like right now, I am not drinking any alcohol. I'm not eating any meat, and I'm cutting back on sugar. So I'm cutting back on the things that were taking me away from God, that were clouding my judgment. And when I say I'm not eating meat, I used to be a pescatarian, and this moment I am not even eating fish. So I prayed on it. I tried to eat fish, but it's okay. If God told me it was a no, it's a no. So if you are here and you can drop a comment in the live chat, let me know if you understand what it's like when you gotta give something up, but you really don't want to, but you know you have to in order to see different results. So in taking care of my body, I first thing I had to change was food. And then with where I was in life with me, yeah, I see some yes in the chat. So I was like, my car was gone. I had to walk. So I was walking all the time, and I was living in a place that is, well, I'll call it North Florida because where I was living sounds disgusting if I say it out loud. So I was living in North Florida, and it was hot. It's hot. Like you know Florida, it's hot. It was hot because we were nowhere near the beach. We was like an hour and a half away from the closest beach. So it was not comfortable at all, especially not during the summer. And like maybe fine during the fall and winter, but during the summer it was definitely too hot to just be drinking sodas all day. So I began drinking a lot of water. And then I found out that you're supposed to drink half your body weight in ounces. So, like, if I weigh 200 pounds, I'm supposed to drink 100 ounces of water every day. And that'll help me stop having specific cravings. It'll help me with weight loss. It'll help me with maintaining. It'll help me with whatever it is because it gets the water nutrients to the rest of my body. So I started drinking more water. Like right here, I keep my water on me. This is it's full because I've been drinking the other water bottles. Yeah, I finished two of these already today. So and drinking those. I save this one for last. I love drinking out my big water bottle. It makes me feel fancy. I hate the ones with the times on it when you're supposed to drink it because that means if I don't drink it by a certain amount of time, it puts pressure on me to feel like, dang, I messed up. And so it just doesn't work for me. It works for some people. It's just not for me. Because what if I'm getting up at the time I get up, then I can't drink. Like I have to drink this at this time? No. I know it's a water bottle and it doesn't tell me what to do, but just because it has those lines on there and I know how to read, it makes me feel pressure to subscribe to someone else's description of what I should be doing with my life. And so that's one of those things that it's like, whatever. So I started eating better. I started drinking more water. And the trifecta, I started working out consistently. I like to dance. I didn't know I liked to dance because when I was younger, I had no rhythm. When I was younger, I cheered and I was on a dance team and I was just like the worst person on both teams. So it was just like, I don't think I'm cut out for like this. Like I don't think I'm cut out for being able to like, participate in actions like this. What I tell all my mentees in the process of beginning their financial health journey is get a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. So on the left side of the line, you're going to draw numbers 1 through 15. And then on the right side, you're going to draw numbers 16 to 30. And then you fill in each day that your bills are due, but you don't fill them in on their exact due date. You fill them in for 2 days before. So if something's due on the 14th, you put it in on the 12th. So chapter 4 is about getting your financials right. So you want to make sure you're there's a someone online, there's a social media personality who says financials, and there's a you in this financials that he says every time. But it doesn't matter how you say it, money, cash, dinero, whatever. You need to make sure your money's right because after your soul, after your mind, and your body are taken care of, and you have a strong foundation with those, you need to make sure you have the financial stability to take care of yourself. And if you have a child, take care of your child, take care of your goals because being um, financially taken care of and stable, it gives you the ability to not subscribe to certain situations. So, what is it that you need to do in order to get your financials where you want them to be? Is the first thing you need to change your mindset and say, I'm not broke. Instead, say I got money instead of I'm broke. Like you got to make sure you make those specific changes. Like start off with taking it to God, then changing your mindset, and then what are you doing with your body that's making you spend the most money? Like for me, I love food. So that's one thing that I end up spending a lot of money on is food and then buying stuff that for my business. That's what I end up spending the most of my money on is buying stuff for my business or food. And for my business, I created a business and God is my boss. So God is my boss and I'm doing my part to execute on what God has for my life. So, what is my divine purpose? It's being shown through the work that I do as my business. So, with taking care of my financials, I have to make sure that I am 4 times a week. I limit it to 4 times a week because anything more than that is stressful for me. If I say every day, check my bank account, it get a little hard every single day doing that. Yes, you can be consistent enough to do it every single day, but 4 times a week is enough time to take care of your financials. So first, I make sure that I document those bills. And that's what we did first with drawing a line down the middle and numbering it and putting your bills on there. I call this my bill calendar. And so on my bill calendar, I take every Monday, I make sure that I do the bill pay for every bill that's coming out in this 10 days. Honestly, I do it for 10 days instead of just the 7 days. I do 10 days to give myself extra time. So on next Monday, I'm still 3 days ahead. And so if if there's nothing to do in those 3 days, that I can keep going with the next 10 days. So if it's not on automatic pay, then I don't have to worry about anything else except for paying the bills that are not automatic pay in those 10-day periods. So doing that, and then the next thing I do is I review my goals. I got big audacious goals. I got, girl, my goals are so big. Anytime I talk about them with anybody, they don't believe me. So then I stopped talking about them with them and I started working on them. So that's why I was like, you'll see it when it happens, because I know God doesn't want me to be stuck in specific situations forever. And so making sure I review my goals consistently has been a key into changing my perspective on my life. So bill calendar, then working on viewing my goals frequently, and then I work on documenting what did I spend this week on what and why. I'm a business owner, so I do this for my business, of course. The financial statements for businesses are the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement. So documenting doc. Can you guys still see me?
No, you disappeared.
Here?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So, you know them spam people, they called me. Yeah, whatever. So, they want to distract me and they're not, because look at this. We have the list still. All right, so 10-day bill calendar, and then we have our goals review, and then we take note of what did we spend this week. And then on day 4, what did we earn this week? So that we make sure that we get everything tallied up. So if you are a business owner, this helps you with consistently weekly preparing for tax tax season. So you want to be preparing before it's time to prepare for the taxes, so that you can stay organized. But if you do not own a business, it is perfectly okay for you to run your personal life like a business, because you are your greatest asset. And so if you invest in yourself, you need to make sure you document that so that you can put it as personal development, i.e., this course, right? So that you can still use this as adult education, as continuing education, because everything you do to improve yourself, you, especially if it costs money, you can make sure that you can find a way to write it off for your taxes. I'm not the person to teach you about that, but you can definitely reach out to a tax specialist so that they can help you stay in alignment with that. So I make sure that I take care of my income, like keeping track of what has went out, keeping track of what's come in, keeping track of my goals, and using my 10-day calendar. So I use all of these, and I use them to help me check my master budget. Am I on track for where I said I'm going to be this part of the year? If I'm not on track, it helps me to make pro forma statements to be able to say, all right, well, in order for me to get to my goal, what needs to be done? And so that I treat my personal life and my business life like two separate businesses. And I hope that helps someone be able to say, all right, well, I can stay on track now, especially with their spending. Like with the self medicating, I I was spending money on shopping for no, like, well, no, I don't waste money. I was shopping for things. Like I would invest in some tennis shoes, so that, yeah, I have to walk to work, but at least I got these shoes. And then like I would get another pair of shoes that's cute shoes, so I could change into those when I got to the place after I wore the tennis shoes to get there. So that's where I would spend money. It would be like, all right, I bought a second pair, but instead of me investing that money in stocks, I bought 2 pairs of shoes. Yes, those 2 pairs of shoes are going to help me now, but where are they going to be in 5 years? Whereas I could have used that other second pair of shoes money and invested in some stocks. And then I could use, instead of me getting these shoes and those shoes, I use that for stocks. And then I use these shoes and get them cute enough to where I can just wear them when I get to wherever. And then the other money is building and collecting in stocks. So that's how my brain works. It makes me have to look back retrospectively and be self-aware so that I can make better decisions in the future. And that's what I implore you to do. That's why I'm here as your accountability partner. That's why I'm your pimp. I want you to make the best decisions for the next version of you. Because yes, you can be the best version of you now. But if you stay where you are now, you're not going to grow. So let's see what it is that you need to do in order for you to achieve that next level of your life. And a lot of times for many people, it is getting their financials right so that they can move forward. Okay, so this next section is self care. So, with self care, I do something to take care of me every day. But yeah, it sounds easy to do something to take care of yourself every day. I've just always been one of those people that I thrive on helping other people. Like when I was in middle school, me and my best friend, we used to do a lot of community service together. We did a lot of community service together with our church, and we went to the food bank. We went to pack lunches for old people or elderly. We went to do a lot of things that it was really fun. It made me feel good to be able to help other people. And that was the beginning of my helping other people journey that I was formally aware of. I had to make the decision to spend my spring break helping other people instead of going out and just doing what other people do on spring break. And so, in retrospect, it helped me to develop my business in the specific format that I know what I want to do. I want to help people. That's why I became a multilingual intergenerational global community liaison. And being able to be all of that, it allows me to help people in different walks of life and different age groups of life. So it allows me to help babies all the way up to the elderly and whatever it is that I see fit to help them become the best next version of themselves, even if that's them getting their groceries delivered to them or helping them take care of stuff on their computer or preparing to go to college or after college, preparing to come into the real world. It allows me to thrive. But sometimes I don't feel like it, and that's okay. Like sometimes I don't feel like helping people, and that's okay. Because helping other people takes away from helping myself. And if I continue to help other people before I help myself, then the way they use this analogy is if I keep pouring everything that's in my cup into other people's cups, at the end of the day, they'll have something, but I'll have nothing. And so it took me getting pregnant and having a baby and working full time after the baby was here to realize I don't take care of myself, or I didn't. I do now. And so now I want to help other young ladies start taking care of themselves before it becomes an issue, before they have a kid, before they start the business, before they write the book, before they do whatever it is that they were called to do. I want to make sure that they're taking care of their soul, their mind, their body, their finances, and I want to make sure that they're taking care of themselves because this isn't something that's taught in school. In school, they don't tell you, all right, take this day of the week to focus on this aspect. Like one day of the week, I paint my nails. One day of the week, I make sure my hair is taken care of. One day of the week, I make sure I spend a lot of time working on my skin. And I know there's people who do a 30-minute routine twice a day, every day. I'm not one of them. I got stuff to do. And if that's their stuff to do, if that helps them to be happy, that who am I to judge them? I'm not. I'm just saying I got stuff to do that takes time away from me to be able to do that. Like I said, there's exactly enough time in the day for you to do what needs to be done. So for me, that doesn't need to be done in as much detail as I do it every single day. Because, well, I mean, anyways, taking care of all of five of these categories will definitely boost your self-esteem. Like first, it might start off low because you're starting from ground zero. But then it takes you higher and higher the more you do it. The more consistent you are, the more results you'll see. And so there's this quote by Kurt Franklin that it just really touched me. And it said, maybe you had to hit rock bottom for you to realize Jesus is the rock at the bottom. So then, continuing from that quote, so then you build your foundation upon that rock so that it can be not shaken by anyone who tries to come by. So I don't care who it is, they can be the big bad wolf. They're not going to knock over my house because I'm making sure that I'm taking care of the foundation before I build anything on it. So going into this next section is this one is called gifts. What are the things you do with ease? What's your purpose? What's your raison de vivre? Like, why are you here? Because we were created with a purpose. Yes, that sounds redundant. It sounds repetitive. It sounds like something you've heard from a lot of people. Whatever. What is your divine purpose? What's your divine gift? What are you good at? Are you a writer? Are you an artist? Are you a musician? Are you someone who thinks outside of the box easily? Do you help other people easily? What is it that you do with ease? Why? Because that's what you need to spend your life focusing on, not the job you may have, but this. What is it that you do with ease? Because if you don't maximize taking care of this, your gifts, then what happens is the enemy will use that against you. He will set all kinds of distractions. He'll drop a new series on Netflix. He'll drop a new season of a show you love, like not even just a series, but maybe it's just a show you love that you watch 12 times but they got 20 seasons. Maybe it's a show or a, like maybe they drop new music, maybe you scroll on a gram. Whatever it is that you are doing to stay distracted, it is keeping you from becoming the best next version of yourself. So set time limits on distraction. And when you set those sunset times on those distractions, make sure those distractions only happen after you've already done what you were supposed to do with your life, which is get up and live in your purpose. What is it that you're supposed to do? Maybe you're the person who cheers everyone up at your workplace. Maybe you want, like, that's not your job to cheer everyone up, but maybe you come in every day and you got out of traffic, but you still had a good mood. You got out of traffic and you still smiled at everyone without coffee before you even got your coffee. Whatever it is that you do with ease, I want you to take this 16-week challenge to focus on putting more time into that because it's, it says in the Bible, your talents will make room for you. And if your gift, your talent is not cultivated, you are not allowing yourself to be made, you are not allowing room to be made for you because you're not cultivating yourself. So, what is it that you need to focus on in this next 16 weeks that will set you up for the rest of your life? Okay, so going into this one, number 7, all of the green backgrounds are because, oh my gosh, I wonder, like, can you still see my hat? Is my hat disappearing in this orange background?
I can still see your hat.
Okay, well you can see my hat. Cool. All right. So all of the green backgrounds are stuff that you deal with personally. All of the orange backgrounds are to help you with your relationships with others. So how does blank affect blank? So let's get started with this one. So this one right here is FRAM, FRAM. And FRAM stands for friends and family, right? Like it doesn't say it like that specifically. It's something that I just used in my shorthand for making time for the people I love. And so FRAM, and you got to contact somebody every week. Just check on someone. Just 3 to 4 times a week, check on different people. So on one day out the week, I call a parent. One day out the week, I call a God family member, or it might be an uncle or an aunt. I might call a cousin. I might call a friend, but I call people 4 times a week. And so I cycle through all the people I call so that I can make sure that I can check on everyone, because we live our busy lives. But a lot of us live our busy lives with our phone in our hand or in our pocket or in our purse. A lot of us keep our phones on us, but we don't use them for the reason in which they were created, which is to stay in contact with the people we love, even though they may live far away. So this is the best time more than ever before to be in contact with someone who lives on the other side of the world. To contact your uncles in Africa. You might have uncles in Africa that's not the scammers that be emailing and say, I'm your cousin or whatever. But I want you to be in contact with people you care about. And if you have family members that make you feel sad all the time, if you have family members that only ask you for stuff all the time, don't call them. Call someone else. Call someone who consistently makes you smile. I'm peeping the comments and in the chat box. So, rule number 2, set boundaries. All right. If you want to know what the other rules are, you need to read the book. And when you read the book, it's going to give you all of the information you need in order to get started with this 16-week plan by yourself. Not, you don't have to read it by yourself. Well, you do, because this is something that you got to be vulnerable with. And so, rule number 2, set boundaries. I discuss why I needed to set boundaries, and this is something I'm still actively working on because I care too much. I don't know if some of you deal with someone who disrespects your boundaries, but it's time for you to pull your big girl panties on, um, and stand on business, as they say. And it's time to set those boundaries and stick to them, because it's certain people that feel like they can talk to you any kind of way. Absolutely not. That will not be accepted, especially not for these next 16 weeks. So pick some people you might need to cut off in your life. Pick some people you might need to spend more time talking to in your life. Like, do you need to call your grandma more often? That's a note for myself. I do need to call my grandma more often. But do you need to go and do stuff with specific people who you know you need to spend time with? Yes, but you need to do it within boundaries. So if you're going to spend time with a specific person or group of people, family members, friends, or whoever it may be, coworkers outside of work, I don't know, I'm not that kind of person who hangs out with coworkers outside of work, whatever. Like, if you do that, that's do you, boo. If y'all go to the bar for happy hour, I already done seen y'all for 8 hours a day. I definitely don't want to spend my free time with these same people. But it's whatever, if that's what makes you happy and those are your actual friends, get some new friends. Let me get some water. Okay, so upon getting new friends, set boundaries for them too. I don't care who it is, set your boundaries. And in setting your boundaries, there are books about this. I'm not the person to ask specifically about what boundaries you need to set for yourself. You know what boundaries you need to set for yourself. I don't like it when this person calls me at this time of the day. Set the boundary. Tell them, or you don't have to. So, with this 16-week challenge, I want you to set the boundaries of specifically not telling everyone everything that you're doing in the 16-week challenge. Don't tell them you're even in the 16-week challenge. See if they notice the difference. That's the purpose of this challenge. It's a personal improvement. So, if someone else says, "Ooh, how's it going? What's your personal improvement?" You don't need them to know. You want them to see the results so that when you walk in, they be like, dang, something's different about you. And you say, I know. And they be like, whoa, is it your confidence? Duh. And then what else? Oh, and my money's right. Okay, and what else? And then, like, you have all of these lists of things that you're going to be able to accomplish by the end of this challenge. And I want you to be able to accomplish every single one of them. So we are going to work on setting boundaries. All right. So this chapter was called My Partner Them. Um, if you know the song, then drop it in the comments that you know the song. Drop it in the chat if you know the song. My Partner Them. But every week, I strategically scheduled time to love on my partner. This is true still. I specifically, this is how I set up my weekly calendar. I make time for sleep so that I make sure I get my 8 hours of sleep. And then after my 8 hours of sleep, I have 16 hours left of my day. If I divide my day into 10 sections, then that's 1.6 hours every day. So that's about 90 minutes per section. So 10 groups of 90 minutes. And a lot of people spend a lot of their time working. And I'm not going to do that. No, I refuse to allow the rest of my life to spend more time working than doing the stuff I actually love. Yeah, I want to work and get paid and get good money for it, but there are ways now. We live in this era. There are ways where you can work without having to spend your whole day working and feeling drained. And if you're working and you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work. I mean, like today, I think I'm like 8 or 9 hours in on my work day. Yeah, I'm like 8 or 9 hours in on my work day. I don't know. I've been having fun. Maybe I don't even know. It doesn't even matter. I'm enjoying what I do. I love working with people. I love helping people. And this is what I'm passionate about. And I include into my workday things that stimulate me mentally. Like part of my workday, I get to listen to praise and worship music. Part of my workday, I get to listen to a book. Part of my workday, I get to take a nap. You know, that's self care. You gotta take a nap. So I strategically schedule time for me to spend time with my partner. So now I'm moving from waking up as early because of like I'm not as needed with my baby as when she was a tiny baby. Now she's a toddler. So when she was a tiny baby, I needed to be able to be alert and awake with her every single hour that she was awake. But now I can give her activities that she's learning that I can let her be more independent with. And in doing that, it helps me to be able to have more time with myself and more time with my partner. And so what I do now is instead of me waking up as early, I go to bed a little bit later, like an hour later. So I get her down at her bedtime and then I stay up for an additional hour to an hour and a half. I get stuff done and I make time for my partner, even if it's only 45 minutes of uninterrupted time together. We might watch a movie. Well, no, not in 45 minutes. We might watch a show, a really good on series. Like we might watch an episode or something. We might just hang out. Like we might go outside and go for a walk, like even at nighttime. Like we might just be chilling. We might spending time together with your partner doesn't necessarily mean that you're not on your screens. I prefer non-screen activities, but my husband plays video games. So he enjoys staring at screens. And so with him staring at screens, and or him enjoying that, what I do is once a week we just sit on our phones and we be scrolling next to each other and showing each other stuff that's funny so that we can laugh. And then like we'll sit next to each other and send each other videos, and then we're sharing stuff but we're still in the moment of being there together. Like we're in the same room in our own worlds but we're still together. And so if you happen to be single, this one is for you. If you happen to be single, before I got to being with my partner, being with my husband, I I made him on a piece of paper. That sounds crazy, but I took a piece of paper a long time ago and I defined what do I want in a man and or in a partner. I wasn't specific that it had to be a man, but what do I want in a partner? And I wrote down everything I wanted in a partner, and then I went through bad relationships, and then I ended up getting the partner that I wanted and I wrote down in the first place. But in the process of going through those bad relationships, I learned from them, and I learned who is it that I need to become so that I can attract the kind of partner I need. So if you are looking for a partner, then this would be that time you spend with yourself every day trying to figure out who do I want to date and who do I need to become so that I can attract the right person. You don't have to be someone that's not in your character. You just have to get rid of those habits that attract the wrong kind of people. So if you want a specific kind of fish, you use a specific kind of bait. If you want a big fish, you use a little fish to catch the big fish. If you want a little fish, you use a worm to catch that fish, the little fish. So you got to decide, what kind of fish do you want? What kind of man do you want? Or what kind of woman do you want? If that's what you're into, I'm not going to judge you, whatever. I got too much wrong with me that I'm working on in order for me to sit here and judge anyone. So what kind of partner do you want? And it's not what do you bring to the table, it's do you want someone who pays for everything and doesn't have time for you and may spend their extra time with someone else? Do you want someone who just takes care of you financially? Do you want someone who is building something and has time for you? It just, you have to decide, what do you want? And then you have to become the person. Like, if I want a specific kind of husband, I got to be a specific kind of wife. Like, I mean, and getting even more personal, I didn't want kids when I was younger. I babysat everybody. So I took care of enough kids in my life to say, I'm good on this. I'm good on having kids. But then my husband told me, before we decided to get married, he told me that it was a non-negotiable thing. He said that he wants to be a father. And so if we were to stay together and I didn't want to have kids, he feels like he felt like he wouldn't be happy. And I love my daughter. I'm so glad that I made the decision I wanted, because I knew he was going to be the man that my daughter or my child needed as a father. Because if you find someone, especially a man, who wants to be a father, not just a dad, not just have kids, but who wants to be a father, that makes a difference if you decide to have kids with them. But if you're with someone and they don't want to be a father, girl, I'm gonna tell you what I told my friend yesterday. You can't be letting everybody raw dog you, especially if you ain't on birth control. If you don't want to have kids with a specific person, because that's a commitment forever, and you're not special because he does whatever it is he does. Girl, he would do it to a sock. I saw that online, and I was like, you're right. Some of them would do this to a sock, and then you want to treat yourself with that same level as a sock? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We are in our elevated lives, our elevated lives. I'm I'm ready for everyone to have the partner that they deserve. That's why I do what I do, because it's not necessarily about the partner. I want you to wake up happy every day. And the world needs more love. And if you have someone who mistreats you, it's extremely important that you wake up and stop rationalizing. All right, well, at least they do this. If you have to say, at least they do whatever it is, then you might need to leave. Okay, so I'm going to be the person. You want to be mad at me? I'm telling you, look, life is way too short for you to spend your time in relationships and situations that keep you from becoming the best version of yourself. So we must, going on to the next chapter. Chapter 9 is about child. So last one is about my partner, them, and then the next one is about what we created, which is essentially our family unit. So our child. If you don't have any children, this in the time management aspect of this, what you would do is focus on, do you have a pet? Do you have something that you take care of? Do you have a hobby? Like, this is, for me, it's child, but this could be where you fill in the blank. I don't have a partner, but I like to do, I'm looking for this kind of person. And then I don't have a child, but I do have a dog, a cat, a turtle, fish, whatever. So this is where you take time to take care of something else, to make sure that you are nurturing something else. Male or female, we need to take care of something else, because some days it's what gets us out of the bed. Some days it's what keeps us from being selfish. So we must end this cycle of poor parenting by setting an example of who you want them to become. And this is specifically for parents. Like, it's enough poorly raised children out here in the world. You don't have to create another. So this next chapter is home. So we've gone over soul, mind, body, self-care, finances, partnerdom, Child, I think that's all 9 that was gone over off the top of my head. Here we are at our house. Yeah. Because I mean, even if you're living in your car, I've lived in my car for 2 times. Yeah. I've lived in the car twice. Like not 2 days, but like I lived out of my car for periods of time. And so even if you're living out of your car, whatever it is that you're taking care of, wherever you live, you have to take care of it. Because you know the saying, they say dogs don't poop where they eat. Well, if your house is a mess, then your life might be a mess. I'm not saying that in a way that I'm judging you. I'm just saying when my house is a mess, so am I. Like if if I walk in and all I see is mess, 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 that's it's preventing me from being able to operate at my most optimal because I'm over here thinking, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, and it's taking up brain space and effort. And instead, I just what I do first is I spend 3 or 4 days out the week and I take care of every task. I made a list of all the tasks. This was before I even moved where I live now, like before I moved in that place. Like this is a when I back when I was lethargic and I didn't want to get up. But I couldn't have a messy house, and so that would be the only other reason I would do it to get up. Like that would be the only other reason I would get up was to make sure that at least my room was clean. I swept the stairs, I swept the hallway, the bathrooms were clean, the kitchen was clean, the living room was clean, because you never know when you might get a surprise visitor that you like. Because I mean, if you got a surprise visitor that you don't like, who cares? I don't care what they think, you know. But if it's someone that like, if especially if you're single, you better make sure your place looking good. Because what if you get that date and like they ask you, oh, let's go on a date, and y'all go on a date and the date goes well, phenomenally well. This person is good, and then like they say, well, can we go back to your place? And you know you're not doing nothing, but like you invite them to come over. It's intimate, so you can spend more time to get to know each other. Play board games. Don't do nothing else. Don't Netflix and chill and play board games and probably eat some food. But other than that, don't be giving yourself away too early, because well, I told you I've been in failed relationships. Um, but going back to the house, so I make a list, and like I used to do something every single day. Like on Sundays, I would make sure the trash was taken out to the curb. On Mondays, I make sure that the kitchen is clean, whatever. So I made a list of all of the rooms that I'm responsible, or I deem myself responsible for. I make a list. I made a list of all of the stuff that I know I don't want to see when it's messy. So I use that in order to make my calendar. So I might schedule 2 hours a day, 4 times, 3 or 4 times a week to make sure I clean this, this, and this, and this. Fold them clothes, put the clothes up. And that's the task. And that's 2 separate tasks. Like I don't usually do that on the same day. I did it once. I can tell you I did it once on the same day where I washed all the clothes and then put them up. But no, that's a lot of effort. And while the clothes are in a washer machine and dryer, what I'm doing is cleaning something else. So maximizing my time. That's the purpose of this course, is to teach you how to maximize your time so that you can manage your mind, so that you can overcome trauma to become the best next version of yourself. So making sure you take care of your household duties is essential for that. All right. So if you made it this far in the book and this video and this work, you know that I don't like wasting my time. Didn't I just say that? Like I do not like wasting my time. That's part of why I called those relationships failed. Yes, I learned something from them, but it took me 6 years at one point to learn something from someone. It took me 3 years to learn something from someone else. So in all of those 9 years, I wish I could have learned it a little bit faster, but it's okay. It is what it is. I can't go back and change the past, but what I can do is make sure, as far as in the future, I'm not wasting my time. And one thing I want to make sure that I implore everyone to try to start is gardening. Start growing something you can eat. I am not a flower gardener. That's just not the kind of person I am. Like, oh, those flowers are pretty. That's cool. If you like that and you want that, that's cool. But with the way the world is going with food, the food shortages and the food deserts and the prices in a grocery store, rate them. Put something in the chat if you tired of seeing these prices go up in the grocery store, because like they cut off food stamps. They like other people are affected. I mean, personally, when I lost my food stamps, I was like, dang, God, I trust you. That was my response. It was like, it was a deep breath. God, I trust you. And we haven't starved. I mean, I haven't had food stamps in over a year. And in that over a year, girl, I've been eating good. Where the money come from? God. So homestead, that's what this chapter is about. It's about homesteading. It's about meal planning, meal prepping, becoming a farmer. I don't know the real definition of homesteading. If you read the book, you understand that I don't care about the real definition. That's just what I call it on my time management planner for the week. I call it homesteading. And then someone said, "Yep, they didn't even approve my food stamps. They cut them right off." They out here in Georgia, they said, "Oh, we have 45 days to approve your application or make a decision about your application and blah blah blah." And so I did whatever it is. I turned in everything that needed to be turned in, and then still nothing. But it's okay because, like I said, we've been eating good still. God is going to provide. And that's just something I know from experience. God is going to provide. Even if it's not exactly what I want or how I wanted it to come, God is going to provide. So take time to learn how to grow something. Even if it's only one thing you grow something that you want to eat. And if you don't even like to eat vegetables, uh, you're going to have to start. Because chapter 3 was about taking care of our body. And if we don't take care of our body by eating stuff that's healthier, then we are going to struggle consistently. It's gonna, yes, I heard this on I forgot her name. It was on a podcast. She said, yes, healthy food costs more, but the cheaper food, the junk food, it comes with a high hospital bill. So would you rather have healthier food or a high hospital bill? And I just was like, oh yeah, it's certain things. Those cycles end with me. Like obesity in my family, that ends with me. Diabetes in my family, that ends with me. We not gonna. No, my daughter sees me working out very frequently. Like even the foot taps thing they talking about like online, like even stuff like that. I make sure that my daughter sees me being um physically active because I've seen a lot of adults call someone in the room. Like, have you ever experienced this? Let me know in the chat. Has a parent ever called you in the room and just asked you to turn off the light or to grab the remote or to turn a TV? Like that right there, that is with me. Yeah, I'm gonna still use my daughter to do stuff like that, but it's not gonna be every single time. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go do something because I want her to have to catch up to me instead of me catching up to her, out of breath, going up a flight of stairs, out of breath, because that's what I was before. Every time I would go home and I was like, when I was lethargic and I was depressed, what I would do is I would go home, I would grab some food and I'd take it upstairs and I wouldn't come back downstairs until I absolutely had to go back down the stairs. But then in doing so, I didn't get to work out my knees often. So then my knees started getting bad. And then it's just, it had a trickle effect in different areas of my life. It was a domino effect in different areas of my life. So I want you to spend time taking care of your body by growing something that you would like to eat. Because when someone says, my dad does that, call you in to turn the light switch off. We're back to a green background. So the green backgrounds are the stuff that are focused on you personally. And then the orange backgrounds are the stuff that you do in relationship with others. So chapter 12. I don't know everything, so I'm gonna go ahead and look back. Chapter 12. I think I know what it is, but I don't want to tell you the wrong. Academics. Yeah, I was gonna tell you wrong. I was gonna tell you the next one. So academics. Chapter 12 is academics. I enjoy waking up daily. I absolutely do. I do wake up with a smile on my face. You know how they say, oh, yeah, I guess someone rolled out the wrong side of the bed or whatever. Not me. I used to, but not me. I don't even roll out the bed no more. I just pop up. And I feel like even when I'm older, because I'm taking care of my body now, I'm stretching now, I'm making sure I take advice from older people. Even with all of that, I make sure that I do things that make me excited about waking up tomorrow. I put something on my list for tomorrow that makes me excited. I have no days where I do nothing yet. I mean, that's what retirement's for, where you plan days to do nothing. But I got too many goals to reach to wake up and do nothing. I make sure I plan something for tomorrow that I'm absolutely excited about. And even if it's something that I'm excited about learning, like I love learning. I'm in the process of accomplishing a lot of goals, and I'm not even going to talk about all of those because they're personal, and that's the boundary that I'm learning how to set, is to keep my personal information personal, and then choose what I share, like Beyonce does. I mean, I'm not saying like I'm like Beyonce, but I mean, I feel like I'm iconic. I love myself. I can't sing. Oh no. I can't dance that good. No. But like my confidence is on Beyonce. Like, I'm not going to allow someone to come and tell me something different. And I want you by the end of this challenge to feel the same way. Can't nobody tell me I'm not on the same level as Beyonce. Yeah, financially she might be up there on another level, but as a person, does she take care of her self-care outside of having to work? Does she take care of her mind and her body and her soul the way it doesn't matter what she's doing? Let's just be honest about that. But what does matter is, are you learning every day? What have you decided to learn, but you keep saying, I'm going to learn how to do that? Recently, I took a class on sewing. I know how to sew now. Oh, I think I have one of my papers. Yeah, on the back of this, it has I sewed through a piece of paper for my class to learn how to sew. And in doing stuff like that, it makes me so excited to keep learning new things because there's no way possible I can learn everything. So I'm going to keep learning new stuff. And now and between whenever my time is up here, I'm going to keep learning. And I want you to be excited about learning. If it's a new language, that's a lifelong skill. If it's a new skill, that's a lifelong skill. Learn something because you might not know that in learning something you're going to meet someone who's been waiting to meet you. Like if in learning how to sew, what if there's a fashion designer that's trying to help me set up my mommy and me clothing line, and I just learned the basics of sewing and it helps open up that door? What if I learn blank and it helps me open up another door because I've learned how to do whatever it is? What if it is just reading a book consistently, like consistently reading books? Your library is free. There are summaries on YouTube for free for you to not even just read the book. Like you might not even have to read the book. You might can listen to book summaries on YouTube for free. And not might, you definitely can because I've done it. I've listened to summaries and books and stuff of books on YouTube for free. And then I got a new app that's just book summaries. So every day I try to listen to a book. They say read a book every day. Like I said, there's enough time in every day to do what needs to be done. I need the knowledge from the book, but I don't have to sit down and read the book every single day or read a book every single day. I love reading, but at the end of the day, I got to get stuff done. And reading is one of those things that you have to be 100% involved in, or it's going to go over your head. So I want you to wake up happy every day too. And one of those things is developing a new hobby that you can learn something new about. And so life, like I said this earlier, life is not long enough to stay in situations that do not allow you to grow. So this one right here is for the work chapter. If there's a job you work or worked and you are not or were not happy, the reason for leaving was just that, because you weren't happy. Like people leave bad management, not jobs. So yes, a company, before we sign up, we there's something we like about them, probably besides the pay being paid, but there's something else about them that they help you achieve a goal or whatever it is. You agree with the mission, whatever it is. Something about the work you do in that company that's going to help you to be able to become the best next version of yourself. And so one of those things is you have to get out of work situations. And I know people want you to believe there's a scarcity of jobs. Well, create one. Start the business. If there's a job you cannot find, like if there's a job career you're looking for and you haven't found anything that specifically works for you, from personal experience, start your own business and you can set the rules. It's hard. You might have to keep your job while you build your business in order for you to achieve the goals you have, but you have to wake up and do something you love work wise. Because if you don't, you'll be drained and you won't be good at work. And you'll be like the people who work at McDonald's. I'm coming from like experience with that. I worked at McDonald's before and people were not happy working there. Not me. I knew my time at McDonald's was limited, and the only reason I was there was to make money so that I could not be homeless at that time. So in that situation, I'm saying the work you do, even if you don't know what you're going to do, what goals do you want to achieve? And what steps do you need to make to get there? So your long-term goals, 20 years from now, 15 years from now, 10, 5, 2 years from now, what is it that you want to do? And in every single person's goal that I work with, every mentee I have, I include real estate for them because sometimes they're not thinking about this, but we're in the process of creating generational blessings and breaking generational curses. And one of those things is creating multiple streams of passive income, and the best way to do that is to get into real estate. There is no wealthy person who does not have any real estate because people always need somewhere to live. So I need you to start thinking about what can I do in order for me to get some real estate so that I don't have to work every day. There's a guy, Julian Gordon, who started the multifamily movement, as far as I know, and he says that you need a door for each. A door is a stream of income for each day. I mean, each bill you have. And I changed it to I need a door for every single day of the month. Because wouldn't it be nice if the amount of money you paid in rent was the amount of money someone paid you in rent times 30? If on the first of the month you got paid, let's say your rent was $1,000. If on the first of the month you got paid $1,000 from 30 different people, your month would be a lot less stressful, wouldn't it? You would probably have time to read those books. So I want you to be able to develop the skills and the time management and the mind management so that you can overcome the trauma and become the best next version of yourself. But that requires you to start working in a career choice that makes you happy. And if you don't know what makes you happy, make your goals, your long-term goals for financially, and then figure out how do you get there. If you don't want to go back to school, what is it that you need to do? Learn, because learning isn't limited to school. You might need to take a course that takes 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. Take the course, take the test, get qualified, certified to do something so that you don't have to be poor. I my mentees are not poor people. So stop having a poor mindset. And this is the last one. Self-help does not work if you don't help yourself. This category, this chapter is called miscellaneous. Most of us have experienced some form of trauma, and it hurt us in ways that have impacted other areas of our lives. But what I am putting no limit on what this category is in our challenge. Chapter 14, miscellaneous, is about whatever you need it to be. So if you need to overcome some trauma so that you can become the best next version of yourself, that's fine. Decide on what that is. And if it's not about trauma, if you need to come up with whatever it is, even if it's personal projects for to be completed for your house, give yourself a deadline, get it done. Like we need to get our garage taken care of. And I've done my part, but I'm still waiting on other people, and that's fine. But I know that at the end of the day, when we come across our garage, I'm like, well, I did this, this, and this. So what needs to happen for me to help someone else get this project done so I can check it off my to-do list, you know? So I want you all to be focused in these next 16 weeks and start today with brainstorming ways in order for you to get started next week. On our next session, which is, well, on our day 2 of this workshop, we are going to be talking about what's expected in the weekly challenges. I'm going to remind you weekly, of course, but also I am going to make sure that we come up with a strategic plan on day 3 that works for you. And our day 3s are with our PIMPs. It's not formally recorded. So the next steps is, well, I just told you what we're doing for day 2, what we're going to discuss. And our 16-week challenge begins next Monday. No matter what time of the year you start this, think of this as a New Year's resolution. But instead of a whole year, you got to squeeze that whole year into 16 weeks. There was a book I listened to called The 12-Week Year, and it really inspired me. But instead of 12 weeks limiting it to just a quarter, we're going to do 16 weeks to give ourselves a little extra freedom. And with a 12-week year, they treat every week as a whole month, what needs to happen in this whole month, and squeeze it all into a week. And instead of us doing that, I want to make this less stressful and more fun and more sustainable, because we're developing a sustainable routine that's going to start next Monday. So next Monday is week 1. We're going to make a specific change about chapter 1. And then week 2, we make a specific change about chapter 2, but continue what we did for chapter 1. Do we need to improve anything from chapter 1 so that we can take it into the chapter 2 and do better? So it's a continuous growth journey, and you never arrive. You just have to keep living in it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I don't have my social media stuff up there, but feel free to contact me on a website somewhere. Like if you can find this video, you can find my contact information somewhere, and feel free to reach out to me if you have questions. Thank you so much for your time. Day 1 has been completed, and now it's time for us to get ready for day